I'm not against trans people, but I just find them really useful to dunk on. Anna's not being bullied. Anna is the bully.
The N-word offensive.
No, 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 no.
Ana Kasparian doubles down after, this is earlier, this is like 6 months ago, after bashing trans inclusive term birthing person as degrading to women.
Just to reorient us, what is birthing person? Why does Anna talk about this? It's an inclusive term that is used mostly in healthcare to describe not women, not a synonym for women, which is what Anna takes it as. Birthing person means a person that has the capacity to give birth. You're talking about some cis women, but not all cis women. You're talking about non-binary people, some non-binary people, but not all non-binary people. You're also talking about trans guys. And the reason we use this is when we want to discuss childbirth. It is not a term designed to reduce women to the biological function of reproduction, which not all women have. It is not a politically correct term that we substitute because we're some kind of like gender abolitionists gone wrong, and we're afraid of referring to terms like men and women. This is not something that Ana Kasparian should even be in her mind, but here it is.
Progressive media host Ana Kasparian stood firm in her criticism of the term birthing person as
leftist audio
degrading to women. She responded to backlash with humor, stating, laughing out loud, the meltdowns over wanting to be referred to as a woman rather than a birthing person is pretty wild, and emphasized her refusal to apologize, saying, I'll never apologize for that, especially as a biological.
But Anna, if we don't know about your reproductive status, why would we use that term for you? It wasn't meant for you. It wasn't addressed to you. Nobody came up to you while you're jogging on the street and said, hey, Ana Kasparian, you freaking birthing person. You birthing person, because that's all you're good for. That's not how the term gets used.
Some progressive criticized Kasparian for her stance, comparing her to J.K. Rowling and accusing her
in the way that she doubles down. Here's a different scenario, okay? Ana Kasparian, I don't like being called birthing person, other person, trans person. Oh, well, that's good because, I wouldn't refer to you as that. That's specifically meant to refer to people, not just women. That's why we use the term person, not woman, who have the capacity to give birth. And Ana Kasparian could have just said, oh, I didn't know that. It sounded like some right-wing garbage that I'd heard where they were trying to pare women down to the being like axolotl tanks, being like, women's function was to give birth, and like, oh yeah, no, that's not what it means. And like, haha, big misunderstanding, hugs, right? It could have ended in hugs. It could have ended in hugs. But that's not what Anna wanted out of this. Anna wanted to farm drama from trans people. I'm not against trans people, but I just find them really useful to dunk on by purposefully misinterpreting inclusive language that has a utility, right? If you want to talk about people who have the capacity for pregnancy, and you use the word woman, you are not talking about all the people that have that capacity, and you're also talking about people who don't have that capacity, i.e. somebody that's had their tubes tied, right? Is not a birthing person.
Of bigotry. So I listened to this. I'm like, okay, if a person doesn't know you, but they know of you and you're with Young Turks, typical criticism in my Armenian community circle. I'll just kind of, it's not like you don't.
Now here's my question for you, chat. I am pretty sure that Anna understands what this term means. I think she pretends not to because it's better for engagement. It's better for farming drama. It's better for punching left to build up her right-wing bona fides.
Know it.
What is behind them? What is this behind them? Like, did he just happen to get like an old post office box? Or like, what is the purpose for this? It's a finance show? What? Is there a reason that they have that? It's a banking vault. Yo, he bought a banking vault. This guy is Scrooge McDuck.
She is actually not wanting to be bullied and categorized and cornered, to have to agree with everything that's taking place. So you're almost experiencing a little bit of what Trump experienced as an individual, that they're now.
Look, if a bunch of people ran circles around Anna and they were like, na 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 boo boo, you're a birthing person, ha 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 ha, you're only meaning in the society is your capacity to give birth. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, you could say like, yeah, she doesn't deserve to be bullied like that. That's what bullying would look like in the context of birthing persons. That's not what's happening though. Anna's not being bullied. Ana is the bully.
Attacking you.
Yeah.
And you've been for some of these guys, but now they're coming after you. So do you kind of see yourself saying, look, I don't know if I'm...
Like, I was hanging around with this trans chick and I thought we were cool. And then all of a sudden she like insisted that I use the right pronouns. I don't want to be bullied like that. I want to be able to misgender you freely. Like, why would you bully me by insisting on that I use the pronouns that you go by?
Either I'm not the Ana of who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Maybe I'm also maturing with some of my policies.
That's maturing.
Maybe, or growing with some of my policies, or no, I'm not the
She's so brave, right?
Democrat of 3 years ago or socialist of 5 years ago. I'm also evolving today. What's going on with your transition?
What's going on with your transition? Tell us, Ana, what's going on with your transition? Because there's a difference between somebody that's a trans ally and that might make a few mistakes, but if you let them know, they're going to have a different response to Ana. Because there's a lot of people that fit into that category. There's a lot of people that, you know, if you say birthing person and ask them what it describes, they're not necessarily going to think to mention, like, you know, trans men could be, you know, so that some trans men are birthing people. But you know, if you tell them about that, they'll be like, oh, that makes sense. They'll have a different reaction. They're not going to be like, oh, you're just trying to get me to go along with your woke agenda. You're everything that makes the left not work, right? We're supposed to be reaching out to people, and instead you're policing me, you're thought policing me, you're, you know, everything, like, right, you're bullying me into going along with your terminology.
Everyone takes their ball and they go home. Okay. So to answer your question, you are correct. I do not like to be bullied or pressured into saying things.
But if you don't like to be bullied, does that make you a snowflake? Are you being a bit of a snowflake? Ana, are you being a little bit soy? Facts don't care about your feelings, right? I get that when you're bullied, that you have an emotional reaction, but that's not really what's important in the light of the facts and the logic, right? You should be, you're being a little bit of a snowflake, Ana.
Believing things that I do not believe. I find...
Oh my God, Bad Lefty, yes, press that like button. Seriously, that helps me out a lot. I'm glad you remembered to remind me about that. I think Ana has been reading Jordan Peterson. Jules, I think you're dead on there. I think I think, yeah. I would be so surprised if she's not.
That terminology, degrading. Okay? That...
Why?
Personally, because
yeah, she's like, I don't like getting bullied. I like being the bully.
I'm not a birthing person. Okay, I'm a woman.
What's wrong with being called a birthing person?
Well, first of all, not all.
See, I literally don't know if she is or if she isn't. Right? I know that she doesn't want to have kids. But I don't know if she has like the, you know, capacity, you know, to become pregnant, which is generally what somebody's asking you about. If you're asked about, are you a birthing person in a medical situation? And I kind of don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's more likely to be like on a forum or something like that. I don't know.
All women.
And it's not really for you, right? It's for the person that has the capacity to give birth, but that walks into the doctor's office, and the doctor, even if, you know, the doctor is someone like me, even if the doctor's trans, might not right off, like, you know that about the person. And that's why those questions get asked, right? And that's why they get asked in that way, because it's a little bit less like intrusive than some of the other ways that you could literally do an inventory and be like, which of these organs is in your body right now, right? And is intact, and right, you know, you could ask it that way. Most people don't really like that. So, you know, if inclusive language like birthing person that is known by people that are part of that group and might not be assumed to be part of that group, like, is actually very helpful. It's just that it's not for you, Ana. This is like, it's not your birthday. It's not your birthday cake. We're not like really thinking about you. You're gonna be fine. You know, ostensibly, this is you see, she can't step out of her own experience. That's what's so frustrating about her.
Even have the capacity to get pregnant. So it's degrading to them to be essentially.
Okay, so she just turned it around. She just turned it around and said, I am actually more liberal than you. Right? She just told us this is the argument this is part of the argument people have been making at her for 6 months, right? Is that some people who are women, myself included, cannot give birth. True. That's part of the reason this terminology exists. But she still wants to play with us and act like that we've just come up with a politically correct replacement for woman because somehow the phrase woman offends us. Anna, I'm a woman, okay? I got no problem calling myself that. In fact, I have a problem if somebody has a problem calling me that, okay? We're not trying to get rid of like gender, right? And anybody who puts it like that of like, you know, we really need to move to a post-gender kind of framework, you know, is representing gender abolition in a bad way. It's not about taking away people's gender. It's about that's why I call it gender liberation. It makes a little bit more sense than abolition. We're not trying to take anything away from somebody. If somebody wants to identify, you know, as a man or a woman, like that's, you know, that's fine. But at the same time, can I tell somebody that they have to identify as a man or a woman? Feels a little bit intrusive. Maybe I should think twice before I do that. But no, not go on, Anna.
Have their womanhood questioned if
I'm
they're
a badass. Thank you.
Point.
if they're unable to have kids to begin with. But also, I mean, look, this is the thing that annoys me about this entire issue and conversation, because they'll turn around and they'll say, no one's calling you a birthing person. Okay, does someone need to call an individual who finds...
Birthing person may refer to... Okay, so it could mean an occupation associated with childbirth. So you're a physician, you're a midwife, you're a doctor, or you're a nurse that is, you know, that works in maternity. It makes sense, right? Mothers, exclusively to birth mothers and not adoptive mothers. I've never heard it. Religion. Okay, so wait, they got this like highlighted. Denominations use the phrase birthing person to refer to the work of the Holy Spirit or a particular ministry as new people are evangelized and born again. So if I'm an evangelical preacher, that's a birthing person. A creation myth may also involve spiritual entities such as Mother Goddess birthing into the world. So, see also breeder slang. So that's what Anna's trying to go for. Oh my God, I didn't even realize it. So you know about the term breeder? Has everybody heard, have people heard of the term breeder before? Some queer people used to, maybe still do, refer to straight people as breeders. And it is I guess it's dismissive slang, right? But it's a marginalized group dismissing the group in power. It literally comes from, like, you know, these are the people that I've been pushed around by all my life. Not all straight people, but some straight people. And so, yeah, it's just a, you know, kind of snarky thing to say when you're describing heterosexuals, right? So, you know, listen, heterosexuals, unfortunately, you've got a lot of words for us. This is a word that some queer people came up with for you. So, forgive me if I don't like, you know, cry tears of sorrow over the fact that you might have in like 1995 gotten called a breeder, right? I feel like this is kind of dated too. But is that what they're going to go with? This is gay people being mean? Like that you were calling her a breeder? Is that what she thinks?
The N-word offensive.
God, okay, no. She did not just refer to, like, look, do you see what this leads to? I could take offense at any term that mainly applies to I could take offense to like any term and just basically say, well, like, I don't want to be called that. Well, we're not calling you that. Yeah, but I don't want you to say it. I don't want to see it. I don't want it to exist. Because to me, that's like the N-word. So don't, I mean, this is just ridiculous. I think most people would agree that the whole birthing person thing is not that deep. It's just an excuse for people who want to exclude trans people from their groups. For Ana, it's an excuse to hippie punch. That's what she's doing. She's punching left. She's and that's why she's on this show. That's why she's having a nice little conversation. That's why Patrick Bet David is being so courteous to her. And that's why we're not having an argument. We're having very much a circle jerk on the PBD podcast here, right? It's because she's got those bona fides. She punched left. The right appreciates that sort of thing.
The N-word in order for him or her to find it offensive or degrading. You get what I'm saying?
As a man, I'm a seminal injector. That's pretty...
Of course.
No one needs to be called that word to find it problematic or to have an issue with it. And besides which, I was called that, okay? Yes, in a medical setting. But this is a doctor who knows.
And then all the nurses ran around me and they're like, nah, you're a birthing person. Breeder. Yeah, that's right.
I'm a biological woman. Call me a woman. But I had a conversation with that.
Biological woman. Let's say it for what it is, Ana. You think that sex and gender are the same things. You think that trans women are men, and you think that trans men are women. That is what you really want to say. But you are not a badass, Ana Kasparian. You are a coward. And you are utterly incapable of owning those bigoted thoughts that are running around in your head. This is a dog whistle from a bigoted Karen.
Doctor, why did you feel the need to call me a birthing person? Like, where did that come from? And in California, medical providers...
You know why? Because the doctor's not assuming anything. The doctor's not assuming that you have not had a hysterectomy, for instance. The doctor's not assuming your sex at birth. The doctor's not assuming those things. The doctor's asking those questions in a way that's, respectful to somebody that might not fit into the doctor's expectations. The doctor, in other words, Ana, is a better person than you are. That's why. Or their license is dependent on it. Either one.
Basically, told that there will be penalties if they don't use the proper terminology or if they're caught doing anything discriminatory toward the trans community. Now, if they're actually doing something discriminatory toward the trans community, I think medical providers absolutely should face consequences. But the idea that we should change all of our terminology, even toward women who want to be called women, in order to be...
You can still be called a woman. You will still be called a woman. I don't know what you're on about.
Inclusive is ridiculous to me. Now, if a transgender person wants to be called that, fantastic. I respect it. I'll do it. I'll engage in it. But I think in the context of my...
She's still on about this 1990s era political correct garbage, right? Where she thinks that she's got this stereotype of the left circa 1995, honestly. Where the left is like, oh, we got to find a new word for everything because the words that are used traditionally are offensive. And no, Ana, I want to be called a woman. Okay? If the doctor needs to find out if pregnancy might be a consideration in my case, right? Then I expect the doctor to ask me if I'm a birthing person or whatever. There's a million different ways that you could do this, right? But that's where that terminology comes into that is useful. Other than that, it's not freaking useful. Nobody, Ana, wants to be called a birthing person. Nobody wants to be referred to as hey, this is, so-and-so, my favorite birthing person, right? No, nobody wants that. Nobody's trying to replace woman.
My relationship with my doctors, I want to be called a woman. It's not that difficult. It is my personal preference. Okay? That doesn't mean that I in any way believe that transgender people should be treated differently or that they should be discriminated against or that they should not live.
No, it's just that she doesn't think of me as a woman. She thinks of me as a confused male. That's what it is. Own it, Ana. If you're going to be bigoted to me, say it with your chest. That's why I respect you even less than a transphobe like Matt Walsh, right? Matt Walsh will just misgender me and dead name me and shit like that all day. I mean, he's a piece of shit, but at least he's owning it. At least he's owning the fact that he's a piece of shit.
lives of dignity. I have had an entire career defending them, supporting them, and this one issue led to ridiculous outrage among a fringe component of that community. They are not representative of the entire transgender community, and for that fringe component, if they think that they're going to shut me up and force me to say things I don't believe, they've got another.
I feel like Anna's the one that's trying to shut us up. She's a bully. That's what she is. That's what she does. She's a bully and she's a hypocrite. And she's using Darvo to attack people that don't have the power to fight back. Because she's also a coward, as most bullies are.
Another thing coming, okay? I'm going to say what I think.
You got another thing coming. Yeah, she's such a badass.
Every single time.
I'm an OBGYN, MC says. What is she in an obstetric prenatal appointment? She didn't specify. Yeah, a lot of people are like, when did she get called a birthing person? Where did that happen, right? And she's alluding to like a medical situation, which is, you know, probably the place that's appropriate, right? Nobody's trying to like, nobody's calling you a birthing person at your birthday party. Nobody's calling you like a birthing person at the gym, right?
Do you think they're crossing the line a little bit and it's getting a little bit too ridiculous in certain sectors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you, John Ross. Thank you for liking the YouTube stream.
And
They turn people off with it.
I know it sounds like a little thing, chat, but it means a lot to me.
And again, it is a fringe component of the transgender.
I mean, look, this is like, you could say that the trans community turns people off with things like pronoun circles, right? In fact, somebody did say that, and I think she wished she hasn't. I think when she thought more about it, she realized that, like, hey, listen, if you don't get misgendered, that's awesome, Natalie. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that people gender you correctly without, and I'm sure that must be some validation that you feel, and I wouldn't try to take that away from you, but recognize that the pronoun circled in that case is not for you. It's for the person that doesn't get gendered correctly. It's for the person that's always having to go around and correct everybody because everybody's misgendering them. It's for people, yeah, I'm talking about ContraPoints, right? And I'm not trying to bash on her. This is a long time ago. I think she gets it. Like, I know she gets it. Like, even if she didn't say that, right? She's got to understand that was her just throwing kind of like a fit. Like this isn't something that is alien to trans people. Like, we have like similar issues intra community, and like I would hope that like most of us don't react with this, like making it all about us and complaining from a place of privilege. Like, what Anna's literally here complaining from a place of privilege, right? You don't have to clarify your gender identity. You don't have to clarify your your capacity to be pregnant or whatever. Most people assume the right thing. Good for you. Now try thinking about somebody else. Come on, Anna.
Gender community, and they don't even realize how counterproductive they're being.
And who's allowed for that to happen? Who's
it's about to get good, says Natalie Marie.
Who's been a part of that becoming a reality? Who do you think?
Look, I think most people want to do the right thing. Okay. And so they want to be as accepting and tolerant and inclusive as possible. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to come across as being in any way discriminatory. And I respect that. I think that it comes from a good place, but they shut their brains off sometimes and just go along with things.
Is this true? Do most people want to do right by trans people? Look, at best it's 50-50, right? Like, most people don't want to be mean, if that's what you're saying. And most people don't think that somebody being trans is an excuse to be like mean to them, right? Most people want to go along to get along. Most people don't want to be like, ill-mannered or piss people off. That's true. But I don't think that most people really have like that much consideration for trans people.
Things without
and you know who really doesn't have consideration for trans people? People from a political ideology that misgenders us, that dead names us, that dehumanizes us out of their political ideology. In other words, the people that you're talking to right here, Anna, They don't respect trans people. They don't respect trans people at all. They don't give a f about us. Like you're using us for engagement and clout. You're trying to make your irrelevant media operation relevant again by causing controversy, and you're not afraid to step on our heads in order to do it, right? But these assholes are even worse. These assholes would see us eliminated from public existence if they had their druthers, right? So no, Anna, you're so off base here. You're so effing off base here. I can't even.
Considering maybe some of the unexpected consequences.
And is more interested in optics than doing right by trans people, yeah.
How others might feel about what they're engaging in. I think that there's this conflation with the gay community and the transgender community, because think about it. Like, I think a lot of people on the left.
Oh no, is she about to do LGB? Is she about to have a LGB take? Is that what she's gonna do? Like, most gay people are perfectly happy assimilating into cis heteronormative culture. It's just those extremists, right? Oh no, Anna.
Think of the trans community the same way they thought of the gay community, right? Like, yeah, why not legalize gay marriage? Like, what's wrong with that? Who's it hurting? But when it comes to some transgender issues, there is a lot on the line, right? Like when we do talk about kids transitioning, you want to make sure that we have a system in place where there's a proper protocol implemented to ensure that we're not transitioning kids.
So let me see if I got you correctly. You think that the problem with gender affirming care, especially as a minor, is that it's too easy to access? Really, Anna? Please tell me where this viewpoint comes from. And no, don't spoil it for me, because I know. It's Jessie Singal. She doesn't know shit about what she's talking about. She's repeating Jessie Singal's bullshit, right? That the problem with gender affirming care is that it's too damn easy to get. It's too damn easy to get. And there's these millions of detransitioners out there that are hurt by the fact that when they said, I want gender affirming care, somebody said yes. That's not true. They don't say yes. They say, like, fill out these forms, take these surveys, let us check you out, like, psychologically, medically, every which way, right? Let's ask you a million questions, force you through, all this, jump over all these hurdles. And then maybe if your parents are on board and you find a doctor that's willing to do it, maybe you might get, like, puberty blockers. Like, right? Maybe, if you're lucky. But, like, God, Anna, you're really not helping that, right? And you saying that the problem is that this stuff is too easy to get a hold of, and the problem is that people are getting treated with gender affirming care when they end up not wanting it, when in actuality the bigger problem is people not getting treated with gender affirming care that do want it, that do need it, and later regret having to go through a puberty that they did not want. Right? Now, like, look, I didn't have things put together like at that age. I knew that, I wasn't like other boys, but I didn't have it put together. And I didn't know that, like, that something like puberty blockers, existed. So, it wasn't something that was part of my childhood. But if it could have been, my life would have been way easier. If I'd had somebody that, like, to talk to say that, you know what, like, it is actually not like a normal boy thing to not feel like the other boys. If you don't relate to your gender, that's saying something about you. Let's talk about this. Let's explore that. I could have used somebody like that, but you would have said that they were grooming me. You would have said that they're putting me on a assembly line towards surgery and that I couldn't possibly get off, even though I was invariably going to regret it. Because on some level, you just don't believe in trans people, right? That's the kind of bullshit advocate that you are, Anna.
Who might not actually be transgender.
You think it's okay to transition kids under the age of 18, even if the parents consent?
What do you mean, medically?
Medically. Anna, you seem very smart to me, and I think you have common sense.
Yeah, I do have common sense. I think it's a very difficult question to answer. Okay. I think that it is a problem when certain states completely ban it, because there are instances of, let's say, teenagers who identify as transgender, they're legitimately transgender. And
oh my God.
I don't want to cause harm.
There might be a few people out there that are saying that they're transgender that are actually transgender. Maybe. Maybe. You're looking at medical care, which has somewhere around a 1% regret rate. And Anna, not all of those regrets are like, actually, it turns out I don't think I'm trans. A lot of those regrets are something else. Like this, you know, the social situation that I was living in wasn't very trans accepting, and this outed me. Or you know, like, right, this is like, right, it's difficult to live life as a trans person, you know, that like this is the kind of regrets that more often happen, and that's within that 1%, right?
Harm to those people, right? I think it's a decision that should be left between the parents and the doctors. But at the same time, there are certain things going on where I do worry. Like, I don't know if you guys have read about the Tavistock clinic in the UK that's shut down. And the reason why it shut down is because it just became...
The reason that I like to talk about it is because it's in the UK and not many people know about it. And if I say that, if I make all these claims about it, nobody's going to debunk me because they just don't know. They just don't know.
This system of transitioning minors without really doing the...
So like, why are you taking away, like, I get that they're minors, right? And they don't have the agency to, well, I mean, they can get a tattoo, you know, if their parents are okay with it. It's pretty normalized for minors that are closer to the age of majority to get something like a breast augmentation, right? They can sign off on that, which in some cases is, you know, the exact category of procedure that we're talking about, even on the upper level of that, right? But you would take away their puberty blockers. That's
proper protocols.
Because you can't believe that the child is actually coming to the parents saying, this is how I feel, and I don't want to go through this puberty. Can I please not? You think that it's the parents that saying, wouldn't it be cool if we had a trans kid? Hey, child of mine, fruit of my loins, flesh of my flesh. Don't you want to be trans? Don't you think that'd be really cool? We could show you off at parties. We could be like, look at my trans kid. Ah, real people aren't like this, Anna. Like you're thinking of like some kind of like of like a stereotype derived from a like a extrapolated from Portlandia or something, like, right? This isn't real people. These are straw people that you're talking about, right? That's not what's happening. That's not the problem that we have, that a bunch of liberal parents are like, yo, I'm gonna really encourage my kid to be trans. That doesn't fucking happen. Come on. That's not how people think of their kids, as like,
to ensure that they're working with people who are legitimately transgender.
Okay, so you're
between the parents and the doctors, leaving out the patient who deserves autonomy. Apparently, Anna does not think that minors are real people
Thomas
either.
Jerome Newton super chatted $2.43. That clinic shut down because of undercapacity.
Okay, so thank you for bringing me this information, right? Tavistock Clinic. We're talking about a clinic in the UK. The UK, trans healthcare is difficult to obtain, particularly if you're going through the public healthcare system. You know, there's famous stories of waiting lists of people emailing their doctors thousands of times trying to get the ball rolling on gender affirming care and not being able to, and being told to wait. Leaving out the patients who would deserve autonomy. It's absurd of her to discuss any of this as if she's a goddamn authority. I mean, look, she's just repeating what she heard from Jesse Singal. This is just like her lie about drug decriminalization in Portugal. I remember that, Obafly. Yeah.
14 years old. I don't know if you said 14 or 13 years old. When your mom tells you, what do you want to be? You said, I want to go be an actress. She's not going to be a Pachatsats, right? And
Yeah.
you said, I'm going to go be a Barbara Walters. Why don't you go be a journalist? Okay,
Right.
that's exactly what I want to do. And I
Okay, also Barbara Walters. When was Barbara Walters on TV? Not very recently, right? Or but whatever. I don't know how old PBD is. Maybe it seems recent to him. Whatever. I'm not going to argue about that. Yo, you really think that? Like, you really think that me saying I want to be a professional Minecraft speedrunner is akin to me saying I think I'm trans? Oh my God, this is so hard to take. Also, instead, new regional centers will be set up to ensure the holistic needs of the patients. Wait, okay, so you're talking about the Tavistock Clinic. I always hear them talk about this. And I know the idea, right? This is what conservatives will do, essentially. They get these niche issues that they're pretty sure that other people aren't super familiar with, like something from another country or, some event or something like that, and they'll cite it, right? Because there's no way to like come back at it if you don't know like what the actual circumstances are. But in the case of Tavistock, it sounds like it was an attempt of the NHS to actually improve trans healthcare rather than just shut it down. Rather than the idea that they're trying to sell, which is that like all this harm was done, all these people were forced to transition and encouraged to transition, and they ended up being really miserable and sad and regretting it later on. But no, that's not what's going on. That's not why the Tavistock Clinic was shut down. God damn.
What if your mom doesn't say that to you? What if your mom doesn't put that in your head? What if you go into Hollywood? Maybe your life's going to be a different story today. I don't know what it's going to be, good, bad, or ugly, but it's going to be.
Chat, should this be a video? Do you want this on? Should this go on YouTube? I feel like we're talking about some important stuff here.
A different
That's
life.
probably what.
But what I'm saying is, it's going to be a very different life. I actually think you would, because you have drive, but it's going.
Barbara Walters is not alive currently. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, like Barbara Walters. Anyway, I'm not gonna like dunk on him for using a older reference.
It would be a different life, no matter what direction you would have gone to. But the point I want to make is with this whole concept of even entertaining the thought of it being okay before the age of 18, then that means like.
Soyprims asks, do you think that Anna has a secret turf alt on a place like Mumsnet? If not, she's definitely courting that audience.
My idea, I have a controversial idea. I would rather have.
I hope nothing that I said was seen as making fun of the passing of Barbara Walters, who I was unaware of. It just like I recognized the name as being somebody from decades past on television.
15-year-old kid that has a job paying taxes vote, then a 28-year-old person who's never had a job, never paid taxes, that person shouldn't vote. So Pumpy goes, you're out of your mind. I get it. It's not a normal idea that I'm proposing.
How about just like let's select for landowners and like right, we really want to we don't like if a family like we don't need a family to vote multiple times. So how about if we just make it so the head of the household, the breadwinner, let's say, the man of the house, the landowning male should be the one to vote. Doesn't that make more sense? Yeah, there we go. There we can make it so much. Yeah.
You have the right.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's appealing to. Like, I mean, this is the Ramaswamy take. Well, no, not exactly. Ramaswamy's thing is more about wanting to strip Zoomers and Gen Alpha people that are, aging into the voting population of their right to vote, because Ramaswamy knows that they're not going to vote for him. Right. So, but this one is what, like we want you to pay taxes, right? So it's like, how well off are you? Have you got your job secured? Are you out of education? Because if you're a college student, you're one of those college students, we definitely don't want you voting. God damn.
Say you're out of your mind. But my idea
is... You were thinking of Joan Rivers. Oh, wait, is Barbara Walters not? I don't even know. I don't even know when or if Barbara Walters passed. Oh, wow.
I want to give people the right to vote who earned the right to vote, who have contributed to society.
How about if we send you to a far-off planet to fight the arachnoid menace. Go with me here, right? We make you some kind of a starship trooper, and then after you served your tour of duty, seeing your best friends ripped limb from limb by these bugs, then and only then can you come back and be a full citizen of our society. Yeah, thank you, Heinlein. Thank you, Robert Heinlein. That's very helpful for science fiction, not for politics. No, this is not real world politics. This is wacky.
It's those who have disabilities, things like that. That's not what I'm talking about. Or elderly. All I'm talking about is a 15-year-old person should have the right to vote, who is paying taxes, has a W-2 job, has paid $3,000 of taxes, whatever.
What?
Versus 28-year-old who hasn't.
Wait. So what's he saying? He's saying that, like, if you have a job, you can vote. Is that what he's trying to get at? I don't know if I've heard this particular iteration of the right-wing stop Zoomers from voting line.
But this concept of saying, yeah, I think my son told me, he's a girl, and we have to do this.
Literally from BBC, there will be no immediate changes for people already under. So they're not stopping the medical care that's going on at the Tavistock clinic. God, I mean, like, I guess I assumed that there. I didn't realize there was so little legitimacy to this talking point. I mean, I knew it was bullshit, right? But I didn't realize how little legitimacy there was to this talking point, and how much they're relying on the fact that I don't know much about what's going on in the UK.
And and they're crying, getting emotional. I think we have to be a little less tolerant to stupidity and insanity.
Okay, so on that note, right, does it feel like that it might be a good idea to be less tolerant to those things by ending my coverage of Ana Kasparian and PBD